Hello, and welcome to another episode of Good Fat Life. And we are really excited today because we are filming our recording or podcasting from Morocco. We are in Fez in the Medina. And if you are like me, you might have had no clue where Fez was or what a Medina is. And we're just kind of here to talk about it. And with joining me is my very dear friend and the curator for content curator for Good Fat Life, Jean Marie Maffa. So welcome, Jean Marie.
Thank you.
So how are you?
I am very good. I'm
All
doing very well.
We've had quite an adventure in the past couple days. It's a short and sweet trip, and that's okay because sometimes that's you do what you get, right?
Uh-huh.
And we've packed a lot in, but I feel like we've also made some space, which we're going to talk about in a couple minutes. And we have a very special guest with us today, traveling a traveling duo and writers, and they've kind of been all over
hmm
the globe. Our globe trotting guests today are Stella and Lucille, and they wish to remain incognito because they don't want to be recognized all over the world where they go or something. I don't know.
Paparazzi.
Yeah.
It's just.
We like to observe rather than being observed.
there you there you go. Thank you, Stella, for piping in because Lucille is actually out in the Medina doing a couple of last minute treasure searches for us on our behalf because we're leaving tomorrow. So, and it's not like our suitcases have any extra space, but somehow we're going to figure this out. So that said, so let's talk about travel a little bit.
Mhm.
That's something we want to add more to the magazine and to our experience with Good Fat Life. And let's why do we want to add travel to our
Oh my gosh, the world is so vast and so rich and so full of things to discover. And there's so many things to learn from those discoveries and so many things to love in those discoveries.
and it's not just about learning about other people or places. It's also learning I want to say a shit ton about your own self, right? That's always like a lovely I don't even want to say byproduct. Would you say byproduct or reason?
It depends on the approach that you take with any given trip, but it'll come one way or another.
Yeah, in spite of yourself, right? So Stella, tell us about you and why you travel and what gave you the travel bug? Because you've been traveling for years and years and years, your whole life,
My whole
really.
life, I have itchy feet. It's the only cure.
It's a what?
I have
Oh, itchy
Itchy
feet.
feet.
and it's the
Okay.
only cure.
Okay.
Life is short, and I really feel like I belong more to the planet than I do any one country. And just broaden my horizons and meet people and dive into experiences.
And what would you say has been your biggest experience here in Morocco?
This is our
Second?
second time here,
Okay.
yeah. And we actually returned to Morocco because the culture is so rich, the people are so hospitable. You become family and friends very quickly. It completely blows any preconceived notion you have about foreigners, different religion, because it's basically a Muslim country. The food is phenomenal. Family and friends are first, and it's just a wealth. It's a treasure chest here, really. It's kind of an Aladdin's lamp, and if you just rub it a certain way, the mystery and the surprises that come out
Come on.
are amazing.
So, just on that
Mhm.
note, it is Ramadan while we're here,
It is.
and we're not Muslim, and the people that are celebrating their very spiritual holiday for them have been incredibly gracious and so welcoming. right?
Yeah,
There
yeah.
is not, we are here during their sacred special time, and there's been, everybody has just gone out of their way, even though they're not eating, they're fasting till 6:30.
They don't even
Or
drink water.
they don't even drink water
Yeah,
from sun up
yeah,
to sundown, but yet they're feeding us and they're checking to be sure that we're comfortable and we have our needs met and that we feel loved and cared for and attended to, right? It's
exactly. Yeah,
and it's very clear that we're of a different, we're not of their religion, and that's been really lovely to
yeah,
be so welcomed and embraced as who we are,
yeah.
for who we are.
And honoring who we are and in our differences, I think, is
Yeah.
huge.
And
Yeah.
we've had, even in the short time, would you say that we've been here, we've had half a dozen at least really kind of deep conversations with people that have been so unexpected
Mm-hmm.
and so kind of like random, but yet not.
Mhm.
Because we certainly didn't set up these conversations to have them like, oh, we're going to meet with this person or that person per se. It's been more like, oh, we're here. Join us for a conversation.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really been lovely. Yeah.
It's one of the, I think, one of the most exceptional things about here. The other night before you guys arrived, we were sitting in a cute little cafe, and the table in the alcove next to us, a Russian family came in. And so that was interesting. So, especially with the political situation, but we just chit chatted. He'd been to New York, loved New York, and shared a lot of experiences and what's going on with Russia. It was phenomenal, and you get that no matter where you travel here.
And that's been also a lovely thing too, like you said, with
Mhm.
what's going on in the world right now. And so we just hear what we just
Mhm.
know what we hear,
Right.
right? But then you get in other places and you talk to people from all around the world because it is lots of people come here to travel, and you have the conversations and you find out what people like us are thinking and feeling, and it's priceless.
Yeah, I feel like the first thing that hits you when you travel is the amazement and the joy of seeing all these differences. But then what really stays with you is how similar we are, and that the human experience really it manifests in different ways, but we are so similar. We have very, very basic needs and wants and joys and sorrows, and they're shared among all cultures. And it's exciting to see that and to feel that.
Yeah.
Totally agree. You nailed that one on the head.
Thanks.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
and to go, to not be quite as deep. There's also the light parts of it. We've had,
Oh.
like we said, amazing food, right? We've had amazing food,
Oh.
and we
The
have,
best carrot cake, right?
oh, the
Hands
Oh,
down.
best
my
carrot cake
word.
on the planet. We've had cooking classes, so we are so excited to bring home these spices that we've never experienced before in this way,
Mhm.
right there. The people have brought us spices literally from the fields where they're grown, and we've got our cookbooks and our fibers and our weavings and all kinds of things. In fact, finding to be to see if we have enough capacity to get it home is a challenge, but so there's all kinds of things that are happening. But one of the things that we're looking for is a word in travel to describe, because people are different in this way they like to travel,
Mhm.
right? So some people are very structured. They want to wake up in the morning, leap out of bed and run and see all the sights they can possibly see. And then others like to get up when they get up and go and find what they find. And then there's everything in between. So we were looking with Stella, we were looking for a word maybe to describe that. And then Jean Marie goes, well, isn't that kind of like life? Right?
Yeah.
Going back to philosophical a little bit, but it really kind of is.
Mhm.
I
So,
think when you travel, I'm going to jump off on what you just said. I think when you travel as much as Lucille and I do, is that it becomes our life. So this is just kind of the way that we're living right now. instead of taking a vacation or
Right.
being on a tour, we're kind of slow traveling throughout the world, and yet
In discovery.
in discovery, yeah.
Mhm.
The curiosity that we both have is just tremendous, and the adventures that we go on are just mind-boggling. And for some people, that's really out of the box, but for the way in which we've structured our
Okay.
lives, it's
As an
such.
observer too of the both
Mhm,
of you, I feel like you also bring something to the travel experience, which is really beautiful souls
mhm,
and kindness and warmth and a desire to explore and appreciate the other. And um, and I think that that is universally appreciated too. That's probably one of the reasons that you are able to sustain this way, because people respond so positively to you, and that fuels more,
mhm,
right? You
mhm.
keep having good experiences, and then you want to have more of them, and you've made friends that you've come back in contact with, right?
Absolutely. It's one of the reasons we actually came back to Morocco, is
Yeah.
because we feel like not only do we have friends here, we have family here from our last adventure. And like family, you want to see them as often as you can. And while Morocco's quite a ways from the States, it's so worth coming back to. It's just part of, almost like part of breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually only a 15-minute boat
Mhm.
ride from Spain, I was
Okay.
told today. And I
Uh-huh.
thought, oh, that is so interesting. I never
15
thought about
minutes.
that. A 15-minute ride from Spain to get to Tangier.
My gosh, that's quick.
Yeah. Can
That
that
is.
possibly be true? That's
Yeah,
what I was told.
yeah,
It
it
must be.
is. It's just
Yeah,
a few.
yeah,
It's a few meters. So
yeah.
I mean, there's lots of reasons to travel, right?
Oh,
To
absolutely.
it's
Yes.
and
Each his own.
it's going to be different for everybody on
Hmm.
what your travel expectations
Hmm.
are or reasons for traveling but and we want to add that into Good Fat Life because it really does contribute so much. I mean, Jean Marie and I have had some experiences today with some people that we met that were literally transformed. Actually, we've all had that
Hmm.
experience here this week that changed our lives.
And that
Eh,
experience was unplanned for all of us.
yes, it
It was a
was.
completely, yeah.
It
And legitimately, it was not the first experience I've had this week that has changed my life. That will
right.
change my life significantly moving forward.
And so that's another thing I guess I would like to talk about for just a second. So that said, when you leave and when you go somewhere and you have all this experience and so you feel changed,
Hmm.
but then you go home and there's that sense of everybody around you is still the same.
Hmm.
And so have you found any kind of ways to make that transition in your
Reentry.
travels that oh yeah, reentry. I mean, but it doesn't matter what you could go away to school, you could
Completely.
you could do it, you could go up in
Hmm.
space and come back. It's just anything
Yeah.
that anything that opens your mind in a way or changes your perspective. There needs to be some sort of way to kind of integrate it so that you
Hmm.
don't lose it.
So I walk every morning for
Mhm.
probably 3 to 5 miles. And when I went back from Morocco the last time, I walked slower and I observed more. One of the other things that I did is we have leftover fruit and vegetables that are sold in boxes for $15, and you get like 70 pounds of it. So I bought a box, got 70 pounds, divided it up, and walked my neighborhood
Oh,
with
when
a
you got home,
basket
okay.
and knocked on everyone's door and said, I have these extra vegetables. Would you like some? And I was invited into neighbors' homes I had not ever talked to. And
What a
I heard
beautiful.
stories from them that I had no idea. It was amazing. It was such a wonderful connection. And just doing that, our whole neighborhood is far more connected than it was before.
And would you
So,
say that's because you received that inspiration from what you observed, or not observed, but what you experienced, like when you were in
mhm,
Morocco,
yes,
for example?
yeah.
Yeah.
It felt so good. I wanted to share it.
Oh my gosh.
See if you can. just share it.
Just
You can't
share it.
keep it inside. You have to let it out.
Well, it's a ripple effect. It's a
Yeah.
ripple effect.
Wow.
I would like to add that these experiences that you're talking about are
Mhm.
experiences that are off the traditionally beaten tourist path. I would say, like, if I were to suggest anything in travel, even though sometimes our travel is more tourist driven, like you go to Paris, you want to see the Eiffel Tower, you want to go up the Eiffel Tower, you should go up the Eiffel Tower. But these types of life-changing experiences usually happen more frequently, in my opinion, when we make an effort to connect with the people who are living day to day in the country, and to find some way to either ask or gain access to their daily life experiences. I think that's where the soul changing happens and the growth. But it doesn't mean that we should never go up the Eiffel Tower. And in fact, the point of view from the top of the Eiffel Tower may be life changing for you. But I
Right. You
do
can't
think
know.
Completely,
Yeah.
completely.
so.
Yeah.
There's a mix of things, but I do think that connecting with the people who live in the place that you're visiting is key to a rich, more rich personal experience.
Or even sitting at the table next to you, you start a conversation, and even if they don't speak the same language, you've got universal sign language, which really can, and Google Translate. So Lucille's excellent at whipping out her phone and doing the Google Translate. Yeah.
Well, and even if you're not comfortable,
Mhm.
because some people can not be totally comfortable, the cooking class that we took,
Mhm.
right, made it very easy to have lovely conversations with the woman who was teaching our class.
And the women from
And-
Italy
and
who
the
are
wo-
in our class.
Right, and the other women that were in the class. And so there's lots of ways to create that opportunity, if we just kind of get a little
Get
curious.
curious and start asking questions.
Right, right, and look for ways that you can start that. And what we found is, like, one thing leads to the next. You meet those people, and then they invite you to, to their home for Ramadan, the fast, breaking of the fast, and it's it's
Before you know it, you're riding a motorcycle around town behind some young. This was not my experience, but I have heard that Stella
someone
and
might,
Lucille may or may not have had this experience.
right, as they were on their way to dinner with the family, right? Right. So, yeah, or having your hands painted in henna with henna. It's, yeah, it's just, there's so much here, right? There's so much here, and we are so excited as we get to experience and include Stella and Lucille in our Good Fat Life.
Yes,
Right?
I'm so grateful to have had this time to see them in person. Don't get jealous.
Right, right. But they can only do their best work if they are able to just come and go as the wind takes them,
We're
right?
just two birds embarking on wild, somewhat unplanned vagabond journeys
Yeah.
to
Well, and
exotic lands. Yeah.
I have to say the stories are phenomenal. They have stories about um, walking the Sahara, right? And the Amazon, and and the list goes on, and they're still here to tell, which is very
And
cool.
we're seniors.
And they're seniors. That's right. And thank you for bringing that up. Thank you
And
for
they're doing it as seniors. They're not talking about life in their 20s. They're doing it now.
as seniors. And
This is really like what it's like traveling as a senior and with a senior.
right, right. And well, what did the guy say? Because people speak so many languages here, and what
You're
did
an old woman. Old woman. Old woman.
Now, we were called diamonds by our driver.
This was the
How
guy
are the diamonds in the back?
but the old
This was
woman,
the
the
guy
old
on the street was like, did he just learn that on Babbel or what?
but it wasn't, I'm sure it wasn't said in like disgust or in
No,
any
not
way.
at
It
all.
was more kind of like,
I
ah.
recognize an old woman.
So, and that's another big part of Big Fat Life is creating the life that you want. And there's no reason that we as seniors, right, can't travel wherever we want to go for as long as we can.
To note, we were all each told we were young. We appeared younger than we are today, but in our
That's right.
experience today.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Travel, it
Yes,
does all kinds of things for
Yes,
you.
it does. Yes, it does. So, on that happy note, I just want to say thank you to Jean Marie
And
for.
thank you to you, because I would not be here if you had not said to me, "Hey, I'm going to Morocco."
You want to come? Well, and I would not be here if Stella had not said, "Hey, you want to join me while I'm in Morocco?" Right?
And I wouldn't be here if Lucille didn't say, "Hey, I'm going with you again. We're doing this."
We're doing this, and so it's one thing leads to the next. And anyway, so on that happy note, I'm going to
Oh,
say.
would you mention our Substack?
Oh,
yes,
yes, yes. So Stella and Lucille have a Substack, and so how can our community find you?
So it's on Substack. We're
Okay.
under culture or travel, or culture and travel.
Okay.
Sorry, it's Stella and Lucille, and we're writing the Chronicles of Ageless Wanderers.
Okay,
We
and
just started.
okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Be kind.
Yes, and so that said, we will be including their wanderings in subsequent issues of Good Fat Life. So we are very excited about that, and we will be sure to have in the show notes that
The link?
the link.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, I can't wait to read them. Right?
Do not look for a photo.
Oh my gosh, there are some stories, and even some that we created that
You can't make up.
you cannot make up.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, no, you cannot make up. And anyways, and that's why we can't wait to read subsequent issues as well, because you just can't make these stories up. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
And we just encourage you to go out and live your good fat life, and make some travel plans. Even if it's the state next door, an hour away, it's all travel, and it's all good. And don't forget to check out goodfatlife.com. Our new issue is actually at the printer right now and will be on the stands at Barnes and Noble and in your mailbox if you're a subscriber next week. So be well.